Hello, welcome back. 10:25. Ben Leo now with you on Britain's Newsroom, only on GB News. Back to Andrew and Bev at the Cenotaph in central London very, very shortly. But let's get through some of the other stories of the day. First of all, though, our latest poll at GB News. Of course, we love to hear what you think. Every day we'll be running our poll of the day. And today we're asking, should Reform UK have been allowed to lay a wreath at the Cenotaph? We'll be bringing you the live results of that throughout the day, so make sure to stay tuned very shortly. And the final result will be announced later in Martin Daubney's show. For all of our latest polls, news and how to vote, just go to gbnews.com/poll. OK, I've got some company. I'm joined by political commentators Judita De Silva and Emma Trimble in the studio. Good morning to you both. Thank you for joining me. Look, stories that are doing the rounds this morning, aside from the remembrance commemorations, is this Justin Welby scandal, Emma. He was informed of this really sadistic abuser in the Church of England back in 2013. He's being accused of doing nothing about it and is now rejecting calls to resign. Should he go? Should the Archbishop
He absolutely should
be shown the door?
He absolutely should go. I think it's outrageous that he suggested that he has reflected on his behaviour and has decided on reflection that he doesn't need to resign. Not only is it a moral obligation, actually, Fergus Butler-Gailey, who's a Church of England vicar, wrote a very beautiful and eloquent letter urging him to resign. So it's not, it's not just on moral grounds and religious grounds that he should go, but also just as his responsibility as the leader of the Church of England. This does immense damage. Parishioners across the country are really not happy about this. So and he could have behaved differently, and the fact that he didn't and that he's not taking responsibility, I think, is atrocious.
As a reminder for viewers, what happened exactly? There was this chap, John Smith, he abused around 130 boys. Justin Welby was told, Judita, in 2013 about what was going on, and he did nothing about it. He's being accused of covering up the scandal. Yeah. Should he go?
No, I think he absolutely should go, because if you're thinking in your position, in the interest of what people feel about the Church of England, how the parishioners believe in the faith and how they actually follow the Church, whatever you think your moral path has been to finding righteousness or enlightenment, you have to do something for the greater good. It speaks to the position you hold, and that is stepping down, saying that I recognise I've done something that's deplorable because I didn't stand up and use my power in the direction I ought to have. And when you look at the correlations with the Catholic Church, why a lot of people like myself defected from the faith is because that idea of the power should police itself just doesn't work. It makes no sense. And so many of them knew about the priests that were abusing children. And a lot of the functionality that happened within the church is that you ship them off to South America or to Africa. And so seeing the correlations between the two is now going to make people view the Church of England as equally as dysfunctional.
And this he's dead now. So he died in 2018. Those people are not going to see justice. Justin Welby could have done something in order to aid the police in their investigation of this person, and could have made it his cause to champion those men and boys and really push that forward. Instead, he's looking back on this and saying, actually, no, I don't think I need to resign. And it's not just this. I mean, this is coming in a much broader context of dwindling congregations, the church's behaviour over COVID, all sorts of things that show that Justin Welby's leadership is really inadequate. And this, I think, is just the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, it could be argued he's been too busy over the years banging on about government immigration policies and sticking his oar in where it's not welcome, Judita.
I mean, indeed, because what boggles my mind is that even if let's follow the track of thinking that he has said that he's reflected on it, one of the tenets of Christianity, of the faith, is of children being the most valuable thing, because they are where everything goes. So if you can't even see the protection of them as a priority, then you are fundamentally corrupt.
Moving on back to Armistice Day commemorations. This is Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, in Paris as we speak. Is that Emmanuel Macron next to him? I believe it is. What's your thoughts, Emma, on the fact that Sir Keir Starmer has gone to Paris, the first Prime Minister of Britain since Churchill in the 40s to do so? Lots of our viewers this morning on gbnews.com/your say saying that he should be here, but he was here yesterday. He laid the wreath at the Cenotaph. Is he right to go?
I mean, I'm enjoying seeing the historical moment of one of our Prime Ministers being in France for the first time since Churchill on Armistice Day. I think that it's actually quite nice in a kind of acknowledgement of the fact that this was the World War. This is something often we do, joint commemorations with other European countries. So I don't think it's that much of an issue that he's not here in London today. As you say, he was there at the Cenotaph yesterday. But it is a remarkable historical moment, and I think it's coming also at a time when this is the first year I've seen really quite heinous commentary online around Armistice Day. Some people saying, oh, you know, the previous generations have died now, there aren't many of them left, and so we just need to move on and stop doing all of this thing, and that Remembrance Day is being fetishised. I think
I know who you're referring to. I won't name him because the guy's a bit of an ice cream, to be fair. But
and so I think there's something quite nice, actually, almost in Keir Starmer sort of returning to on Armistice Day, because this is a commemoration of World War I. We must remember, not World War II as well, and all other conflicts, which is what Remembrance Day is about. Armistice Day is about World War I, and for the men from Britain who fought, they fought primarily in France, and you know, that's sort of it's quite a beautiful thing to see. Actually.
So why has it not been done before then, Juditha, do you think? The first PM since Churchill, why has nobody else taken it upon themselves to hop across the channel?
I do think this is a direct response to the position he's in geopolitically now, because when you look at from Gaza to Ukraine to migration, there is a understanding that this government has and has to have that solutions will only come with international collaboration. So doing something this poignant and this historically significant sends a message not just to France but to Europe that in the post-Brexit melee, there is still an understanding of unity for where it's fundamentally needed. And also, because we know that Trump episode 2 is coming around, this also optically sends a message to him about a unity that still exists across the European bank. But then it might antagonize him because we know the differences of opinion they have on fundamental things like NATO and defense spending. So I don't know how well this will play with Trump, but I think that it's going to show that conversations need to be had with them as a collective.
I mean, I think Juditha's hit the nail on the head there. This is in response to Trump, surely, and just, you know, getting their ducks in a row, getting their approach to Ukraine in a row, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's enormously symbolic, and we know that Keir Starmer is an arch Europhile and would like us to be not just probably in a closer relationship with Europe, but in the palm of their hands. So I think it's enormously symbolic, maybe perhaps not in the way that I would like it to be. But yes, I do think this is going to send a message to Trump, and we should always look at Keir Starmer, I think, with a slightly cynical eye as to what he might be trying to signal, what chess moves he might be trying to make.
Do you think he's that sort of...
I don't think he's making him sound like Machiavelli. No, he's not. I think that he's...
No, I don't think he's that smart.
He has such a difficult position, because imagine you're in his position now, particularly at this time when you know Trump's coming in, you've got the situation, Gaza, Ukraine. You've got to play both sides effectively, because he's going to have to find a diplomatic route to getting a good connection with Trump. But you've got to also have an understanding with Europe, because you will not solve the problems that are on your plate right now without European collaboration. So what should he do? He has to do very big things optically to show where he stands, because I think the next thing that we're going to see is something to do with Trump.
And it's actually quite canny diplomatically as well, because it's very subtle.
Yeah. Just some breaking news over the past 20 minutes or so. So the Washington Post broke a story yesterday saying Donald Trump had spoken to Vladimir Putin on the phone. But in the last 20 minutes, Moscow has come out and said, absolute nonsense, there was no phone call whatsoever. So not too sure what's going on there. Just sticking on Armistice Day and, of course, the services yesterday. What do you think of Nigel Farage being snubbed laying a wreath? I mean, was that right? The rules say it's because his party doesn't have more than 6
And
MPs.
I think probably it suggests that the rules aren't correct. The fact that, as Richard Tice has pointed out, that the Reform Party had a larger vote share than the Lib Dems, the DUP, and I think it was Plaid Cymru combined. Even if they only have 5 MPs, they had a much larger share of the vote than the Lib Dems. They represent a significant portion of the country. They are politically significant. And I think, and also as a patriotic party, of course, their supporters will want to see Nigel Farage laying a wreath. I think that the rules should be changed in order that they can. Of course, you do have some exceptions for smaller parties, for devolved parties, with the SNP and the DUP sharing a wreath and placing it alternatively each year. So I think that the issue there is the rules.
Yeah, I mean, they did change the rules, Juditha, and I think it was 1984 with to allow leaders of the devolved nations to lay wreaths, even if they didn't have 6 MPs. I mean, Nigel and Richard Tice from Reform says that this is an establishment stitch-up. Is that
I don't think it's an
fair?
Establishment stitch-up. I think what has happened is that they're currently stranded in a crack, because the electoral structure has to be reviewed 100% to be more reflective of general sentiment of the country. But the whole point about this entire celebration is tradition. It's about protocol. And if you don't fall within the diktats that exist as of today, you can't be there. So you can't have on one side have respect for rules and tradition, and on the other side, because the rules don't work for you, say they're wrong.
Yeah. I do think it's overblown to say that it's a stitch up, but I think that they're quite right that they should be able to place a wreath.
OK.